about how you came to be the president of the Alliance in Rhode Island, or even how you came to Rhode Island, and where you were from before Rhode Island.
Well, first of all, I'm very happy to be in Rhode Island. I love the state, and you know, and so I came here because I am married an American lady, and we lived together in France for a number of years, probably about 20 years, and then came back here with our children, I'm originally from Brittany, which is the western part of the country, and that's where I grew up with all my family.
And did you learn English before you came to America?
Yes, I did learn English before I came to America, but you know, I've been here now 26 years, so my English has improved.
It's fine.
Thank you.
Much better than my French.
We'll try that.
But I haven't lived in France 26 years, so, or at all actually. So that's the problem, I guess.
Yeah.
And how did you come to be head of the Rhode Island chapter of the French Teachers Association?
Well, really by happenstance, I think. It was a situation where I made a career change. I was in the business world for about 10 years and became a French teacher. I'd used my French in the business world for some time, and I was approached during my first year of teaching to consider being president of this association called the AATF, and I asked that person who asked me, what is the AATF? And they explained, and they liked the fact that I had a coordinating business background, because it's a job that necessitates a lot of skills, organizational skills, and able to work with other groups beyond the association. And I accepted, and we made quite a lot of changes since 2007 when I took over.
And your own French-speaking background, did you grow up with French, or did you learn
Well,
it
I
yourself?
heard, yeah, like a lot of kids my age, when we were growing up, I heard French at home, my grandparents' house. A lot of cousins.
From Rhode Island?
From Rhode Island, yeah. Grandparents' family came from Quebec, and always had cousins coming down and speaking French at home, and I knew all the customs and the bisous on each cheek and all that sort of thing, bonjour, ça va, etc. Yeah. And I learned it in school, like a lot of kids, and it's a heritage language, one would say, for me, and I pursued it through university and used it in the business world, worked for a big French company for about 5 years, and now I'm a teacher. Never thought I'd become a teacher, but I'm a teacher now. But I enjoy it. I enjoy it quite a lot.
And you teach where?
I teach in Providence.
Oh, okay. And does your family have this? We were coming from the traditional French meal and comparing that perhaps to Japanese tea ceremony, but perhaps to an American meal in the schools. And did your family have traditional meals? Or was that
on Sundays?
Carried over? Yeah?
Sundays were really important.
Yeah.
My grandparents' house, either grandparent. Yeah, it was very important.
Am I right about this? This is purely as a tourist, but I have the sense that one of the differences in a traditional French meal, at least in restaurants rather than in homes, is, first of all, the courses are separate. So you might have a salad course and you finish that before you go on to something else. Generally, there'd be coffee only after the meal, whereas American restaurants start splashing coffee at you as soon as you sit down. I don't think they do that in France. And is that consistent with what you understand?
Yes, absolutely.
Sure.
I think that that's certainly a big difference. When you go to restaurants, you generally have a 3-course meal. You know, the hors d'oeuvre, the entrée, and the dessert. You know, and if you in many restaurants you have the prix fixe. You know, 20 euros, and you get your three courses, and that's and it's the same thing at home. We always have a first course, a second course, and a dessert, and sometimes with the cheese.
At the end, right?
Yeah, the cheese and the dessert. You know, it's always in the same order.
Yeah.
It's very well orchestrated, right?
Yeah.
Well, it's almost an art form, and I guess that's what the UN has recognized.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Yeah. And it is part of the fun of being a tourist in France. Now, one of the jokes among Americans who only studied French in high school when they're tourists are that what we do is look for signs that say high school French spoken here, and of course that's only a joke. That's not a sign that we really see. But to what extent does the programs in the schools help people who might be tourists later on in France or other Francophone countries? Is that one of the goals of French education now in
well,
American
sure.
schools?
I'll make reference to what I said earlier. In this age of globalization, one could actually see the utility of learning a foreign language today. Perhaps 25 years ago, maybe there was a disconnection. But today, with the internet and globalization on a whole, we're all communicating, and it doesn't have to be all in English. English may become, or may be considered, the lingua franca, in other words, the language that is used to facilitate everything. But to really communicate and understand one another, you really have to understand each other's language to a certain degree.
I would like to point out that in Rhode Island, we have a very, very strong program that uses French, and at URI. URI has developed one of the most extensive French program in the country. And the way they did it is they offered double majors. Like, for instance, you would have oceanography and as a major French, or geology French.
Or perhaps business.
So and so forth. And so I think they have about 130 to 150 students, and they actually go to France and and they have exchanges with French universities, and could eventually end up working with major French companies using their engineering degree and their French language.
Exactly. It's a wonderful program. I'm very familiar with it, of course. In 5 years, one can get a double major, for example, oceanography or business or engineering with French.
Mathematics, maybe?
Perhaps.